Okay, so here's another one that's really strange. What if the Shadow Temple was actually the last temple in Ocarina of Time? Why was it the second last instead? Why did they change the Spirit Temple to be the very last temple? And I think why is because the story itself had a better build-up. You see, in the Spirit Temple is where we find out where you actually go to the Gerudo Valley. You actually get to see it for yourself. Why it was literally a wasteland. Why it was basically what it was: desert, mystery, and a lot of opportunities just hidden. But all these strong drifting winds and a mysterious haunted village. You know, the spirit, the that just blew across the desert winds. Because Gerudo, if you don't know, means gold, Gold Valley. So that's what Gerudo stood for. So what happened was, you know, that's where the last temple was. But in order to go there, you had to have the lens of truth, technically speaking. I mean, even though there's glitches you can use to get around this, but you had to also figure out where the ghosts were at, how you can get through it, and then you can see how the flags were set up individually, and you can go with that, so that way you could overcome that barrier. Well, come to find out, this is what we found out over the years. Well, when Link got to the Spirit Temple, we found out who Ganondorf's godparents were and how they fit in with who they were. They brainwashed the Roman kind, and while he was king, yes, because of traditions and all that, a lot of the Gerudos didn't really seem to trust Ganondorf. And it's possible that maybe Ganon didn't really trust his own followers either, but he probably didn't care because he could still take them all out by himself. So that's what's really interesting. But Ocarina of Time really showed us that, you know, what Ganondorf was and all that. So going back to the Shadow Temple, I think what would have been different though, if they would have made the Shadow Temple what it was as the last temple, it would have been more of a signature. It would probably be devolving into who the Shikens, and who what Hyrule really did to people in that temple. A lot more worse than the lore it was now. It was just the remnants of it in the present, but the temple was still there. It was like a catacombs of some kind. And that's actually kind of saying something, because what really went on in that temple? And the Shikens used Kokoriko Village as a hiding place, is what it was. It didn't appear what it should have been as time went on. So, and I just think it's absolutely nuts what a lot of people don't understand. People don't, like, it's crazy to think like what goes on in that village and the history that has been hidden between. It kind of makes you wonder if maybe what's his name, Ganondorf was actually the good guy at one point versus everybody else, you know. And it's strange to think that, you know, how everybody was in it for their own way, all these ideologies competing for each other, but it was Hyrule that came out in the end because they were the most powerful, it seemed like. And so it really does make you wonder who everybody really is, what everybody has set up, and what ends up happening, because we don't know everything. I just think it's absolutely amazing what a lot of people don't understand as far as the lore of Hyrule goes, because there's so much hidden in plain sight. You know, you look at the gossiping stones and all that, and what they've produced, and there's so many other things that we still haven't figured out. Even like with prototype data, what could have been there, what could have been. You know, it's all over the place. You know, there's so much stuff that's debatable that could still be hiding in the game's code that we haven't figured out how to activate yet. But then again, even with all the compressing algorithms that people have laid their hands on, we're still miles away by just divulging into it, what we don't know, what we don't see, and what can we do with the rest of it. So that's interesting to think about how Hyrule, or what is it, can do. So that's very interesting indeed, if we just spend time trying to look for it. So Hyrule and the Shadow Temple definitely are secrets that could very well be hiding in plain sight. What we do not know, what we do not understand, what we do not see, and yet would probably reveal even more about Hyrule's past and maybe even Link's past too. So much stuff that they could probably write a sequel to somehow.